She ain't told out. Your mama ran this thing round and she already. I pulled that and told him, told video. Show the cover stocks and told out.
See, I'm riding through the city with my whoa. Yeah, we tuned in HotxxMagOnlineRadio. Yeah, she put that work in there, you know it shows. So who's fucking with this online radio?
You see the drippy, I'm fitted up. Hop in my car and the giddy up. Secure the bag, yeah, I get the bus.
What's good, y'all? It's your girl, Terry J. with HotxXMag Online Radio. Okay. Listen, you guys, I'm super excited. Huge shout out to everybody tuning in on Facebook. Huge shout out to everybody tuning in on YouTube. Okay. We got a very special guest that we're actually bringing live today, you guys. And this one I'm actually excited for because one, it's different than what y'all are used to. Okay, y'all used to, music, which we still got some music tied up in this tonight. But we have an author, actually, of the new book, as you can see down below, Overdose. Okay, listen. This book right here, you guys. This book is good. Okay, I love to read, you guys, but it's been a minute since I've actually read a book that I could really relate to and feel like I was in their eyes, like literally. At the bottom, it says through the eyes of the unprivileged. Like I really feel like I was looking at it through his perspective. And it was really crazy because I would read this at work or I would read it when I was home, relaxing. And it was just crazy how this book made me feel. I had goosebumps throughout the book, you guys, because it was so deep. So when I got it, you guys, not long ago, I had to read a little bit so we can get prepared for the interview, but I made it to actually chapter 12, which I'm still reading. But I will tell you guys, it feels like I've been reading for a while now in the book. Like it feels like I'm on chapter 30. That's how much has gone on in each chapter, and I'm the type of person where when I watch a movie, I like to, I wouldn't say get straight to the point, but I don't want to be watching a movie for 30 minutes before something happens. I kind of want to see what's going to happen, keep me interested. And I'm going to be completely honest with you guys. Usually I would say, okay, yeah, maybe chapter 3 or 4 did it for me. No, you guys, like, from the beginning, I'm talking the introduction, to chapter 1. Chapter 1 was crazy. I mean, the introduction was crazy alone because it kind of prepared you to know what you're looking for. He kind of gave history, not kind of, but he did give history behind a certain situation of the book. I don't want to tell y'all too much, so you'll hear me kind of not say too much. But in the book, it was really crazy. Chapter 1 had me like, whoa, like we starting it off like this. Okay. And then just from chapter 1 to chapter 12, it's been crazy, you guys. Like seriously, it's super good. It is available on Amazon, which I did put down below. So this is what it looks like. If you want to go purchase it, please go purchase it. You will not regret it. It's super good read, and it's super easy. But after reading, even from 1 to 12, there's so much that happened that I have so many questions for the guy in charge of writing this book. And I'm excited for you guys to tune in today and listen to this as well, because before you buy, you'll get to see, what you're getting into. You get to hear a little bit, but, I don't personally want to tell you too much because I do want you to read the book. But what we're going to do is bring him live, and then we're going to hear from him himself. Okay. So without further ado, what's good? What's going on, Miss Terry J? How are you? I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I love that introduction, man. Like I couldn't have did it better myself.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, you almost summed it up for me.
Listen, that book, I mean, I didn't know what to expect from the cover, you guys. Let's start there.
Right.
From the cover, it looks deep. I mean, you have I don't want to say who she is, but you have somebody in the bathtub. Mm-hmm. You can't really tell. Look like maybe she's sleeping in water. And then you have this little boy with so much, in my opinion, anger, confusion, and just malicious in his eyes.
Right. He's puzzled, trying to figure out like what's going to happen, what's going on. So if I could just tell you a little bit about the cover, Please. It's actually a remake of
a real life event. So my father found his mother in the bathtub, overdosed, and that's how the name of the book and that's how the cover came about, because it's actually it's based on a real story. It's based on true events. So that's how he discovered her. And as you already know, as the story continues on, that's how him and his other three siblings ended up in foster care. Yep. So the cover is, it's like a reenactment of a real life event, like a real life event. So that's where my inspiration came from for the cover itself, and also the name of the book. Yeah.
Wow. I mean, it's deep. And you guys, because like I told you, I have so many questions I want to ask them, but I do want to say your book impacts so many people. Since, I've received the book, and like I was mentioning, I read it everywhere. So
Mhm.
I happen to go to Ritter's. I don't know if you're familiar with Ritter's.
That's like a restaurant.
Yeah, it's like a diner.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I went to Ritter's Diner the one day. I woke up super tired, getting ready for work. And I took my book. And while I'm waiting for my food, I was reading it. So the server comes over to me and she goes, excuse me, what are you reading? And I'm like, I'm reading a book called Overdose. Like she said
Mhm.
it to me almost like I can't read it in there. So I'm like, yeah. She was like, oh, can I take a picture of it? And I'm like, is everything okay? Like, she's like, no, yes. She was like, somebody she know have overdosed, so she related.
Okay.
And I immediately kind of turned the book over because I felt that. And she was asking me more questions about it, like who's the author? And I'm telling her about you and
Okay.
how deep the book was, and that I feel like a lot of people who have experienced this could feel this. And
Right.
she took a picture of it, and I told her it's on Amazon. I know it's a touchy situation for you, but if you want to check it out, please do. And she
Mhm.
actually said she would go on Amazon and purchase it. So
Purchase it. Well, I appreciate that, but it's definitely something that a lot of people could relate to, just from the title of the book, and just people who've been through that, or people who have family, who've been through that and things of that nature. So yeah, that's one of the reasons why I wanted to write about it, and I wanted to dive in it a little bit. And I even talk about the history of heroin in the
mhm.
in the starting out chapters. So yeah, that's a lot of the inspiration behind it. Yeah.
Wow. And I must ask you, because before, besides it relating to you personally,
Mhm.
at what point did you decide I want to write a book? I want to be an author.
You know what, Tara, honestly, I want to say it probably was between the year of 1999 and 2000. I was actually incarcerated. And
Mhm.
when you incarcerated, you don't have a lot of time, like outside time. You're in a cell, and that's when you just tap into your inner self. And that's when I started to write. I started writing poetry, and then it escalated to just writing my own story. So this actually is my second book. I wrote my first book when I was incarcerated, called Cry No More. And back then, it wasn't no social media. It wasn't no Instagram. It wasn't no Facebook. It wasn't no Amazon to sell your books on. So, when I got out, I got it self-published, and I was just selling it out the mud, like, just going around selling it, to be honest about it. And that's why this made this so more special for me, because it took 15 years for me to do my next one. And I always told myself, in order for me to consider myself a real author, I got to write another one. I got to get it out there to the people. I got to get it further than just my friends and my family. And I wanted to get out. So with all these outlets and all these other like distribution, like Amazon and things like Instagram and social media and everything else, like you could touch the masses, all of the people. I just wanted to do it again, and that was the inspiration, behind me writing the second book. But yeah, my real inspiration is just when I was incarcerated, and I just tapped into my creative self, my creativity, and I basically just started out writing poetry, and that went on to writing my own story. So that's what this is about.
Wow. Oh my. Well, I mean, the good thing is that it came out wonderful.
I appreciate that. I definitely appreciate
Absolutely.
that. I
Yeah,
was
definitely.
nervous about it, because a lot of the topics that I talk about, and a lot of things that I talk about, I'm an open book, but my life, it isn't that anymore. So
Mhm.
with a lot of my family members or friends, or like even my coworkers who don't know me as that, you know, that could be a little touchy for me, but I'm an open book, and I told my story. And for those who don't know, the book, it's basically a collaboration of my father's story and my story combined into one fictional character by the name of Jimmy. So the book is basically 75% of my father's life and like 25% of my life wrapped up into one character. And yeah, it's based on a true story. So it's extremely exciting. If you haven't gotten it yet, man, go out and get that. It's
Yes.
extremely entertaining. So
Yes. And I must ask you, because as I mentioned, I read all the way up to chapter 12.
mhm.
And when I was on, I want to say chapter 6 or 7, I was like, wait a minute, how old is Jimmy? Because they, in there, I seen that you stated how old the brother and sister were. I did see by the time I got to 12 that he couldn't wait to turn 18.
18,
But
right.
my question, I think, throughout it, at least until chapter 12, was how old is Jimmy actually, at least up to chapter 12?
I believe when he goes into the foster system, he was about 13, 14.
Okay.
So when he's going up to chapter 12, I want to say he's about 18. He's getting ready to graduate high school. So
Gotcha.
yeah. When the story starts out, I want to say he's about 14. And he's the older of all of the four siblings. Yeah, he's the older brother. So I want to say he was about 14. And it was a tragedy early in his life. He had to deal with a lot. And that was my father's real life, though. Like, he was really in those foster homes. He was really being passed around. They were really going through that. All four of them went to different foster families. They grew up without each other, without knowing each other, things of that nature. So yeah, it's really based on a true story.
Yeah, it's deep. I mean, even to the part, I don't want to tell too much, so I'll just say what happens when. So even after, he went through the foster care,
Mm.
even after he leaves there, the chapter that follows right after that blew my mind.
Okay, what chapter was that?
It was
As
the
soon as he
one when
leaves the
he met,
foster home?
yep, when he met Mary Beth.
Oh yeah. So that part is kind of fictional, but it's not, because my father would tell me that he was sexually molested by his foster parents. Now, he didn't go into great detail, so I had to use my imagination on that part, but it's still based off of reality, because he definitely told me that growing up, going to different foster parents and everything that he went through, that he was sexually molested by his foster parents, and he ended up back in the system. So
Wow.
yeah, and there's a lot of people out there who could relate to stuff like that, who've been through that and who know exactly what I'm talking about. So that's another reason why I wanted to talk about that. It's so real for so many people who've experienced that type of thing. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And I was thinking that, when I was reading it, I said, oh my goodness, because I was like, Jimmy can't catch a break.
And it's crazy, but it's also sad. But again, it's based on a true story, and that's what made me want to write it. Because when I started finding out these things about my father, and my mother helped me piece in some of the pieces that I didn't know about. I mean, he had a hell of a life, and I started to understand why he was the person who he was.
Right.
As a father and as a man, and that helped me to forgive him, because I started to understand when I became older and when I became an adult and I had my own kids and things of that nature. But yeah, nobody should have to go through that in life. But yeah, and it's also, it's a generational curse.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it goes down throughout the other people in his life and things of that nature. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And I mean, when you write a book like that, like you say, it has some fiction in there, but it really relates to real life. So I must
Hmm.
ask you, as you wrote that book, have you dealt with any, as I would say, unexpected challenges, during the time that you were writing the book, or unexpected emotions that you went through while writing the book?
Not really unexpected challenges. The only challenge I would say that I had was trying to find the time,
Yeah.
working a full-time job. Sometimes I'm working 10, 12, 16 hours a day. So just trying to find the time to write. I'm writing on my lunch break. I'm writing when I got 10 minutes, just pulling out my phone, just scribbling, just writing and stuff like that. As far as emotions, when it came to my own personal life and a part of the book that was related to my story, I definitely had some emotions, just remembering things like being homeless, sleeping in the back of a car, just running around in the streets, just without a future, just being incarcerated, just things like that. It definitely brought up those old emotions, but it also helped me to understand about how far that I've came and what I've accomplished in life. So
Right.
yeah, it definitely brought up those old emotions and stuff like that.
Yeah, I could only imagine. And I gotta ask you because you did mention, there was some scenes that really relates to you in your life. So
Mhm.
if you don't mind sharing, are you able to share a moment with us, a personal moment from life that actually inspired one of the chapters or scenes in the book that have occurred?
Okay. I could talk about the time when I got out of jail and it was the middle of winter and was nobody wasn't fooling with me because the police ran in my mom's house and they made it look like it was a huge scene. I did get caught with drugs, but the police made it look like it was a huge scene, a way bigger scene of what it really was. And
Mhm.
and so when I got out, nobody was really fooling with me because of that situation. And when they ran in my mom's house, I was only 18 and she wouldn't let me back in.
Mhm.
And like I ain't have nowhere to stay. And I found an abandoned car in an old junkyard and I was sleeping in the back seat of an abandoned car. And you'll read about Jimmy having to sleep in a car in the middle of winter and not having nowhere to go and nowhere to sleep. And yeah, that's based on a real story, man. So I was like going to the recreational center just a bird bath and just to brush my teeth and stuff like that. And that was real reality for me in situations like you'll read in a book. I can't remember what chapter it is, but Jimmy's running around with an older kid named Terry, who's kind of like taking care of him. He's kind of grooming him and kind of just like taking care of his everyday needs, making sure he eats and everything else like that. But Terry's a drug dealer. He's a little bit older than Jimmy, and they're in the same neighborhood. And he takes him up under his wing and he's looking out for him because he saw what nobody else looking out for him. And yeah, that was real for me. That was real. Like my inspirations and my role models were the drug dealers in my neighborhood. That's what I came outside. That's what I saw every day. There was no social media. There was no computer and phones. We was outside every day. So this
Right.
was my reality, and this was real for me. So when I put that in a book, these are real stories. These are real things that I went through. Like I really had somebody who groomed me how to sell drugs and told me one day, like, I can't keep looking out for you. Like you gotta go out on your own. Like it's time for you to start making your own money. Like here, when I get this, I'm gonna give you that. And we're gonna go hit the block. And I'm gonna, and that's like, so that was, I mean, I know it's not the most positive inspiration,
Mhm.
but dealing with the book, when we deal with reality, those are the type of the things that Jimmy was going through, and that's just how he was living. So
Right.
I just got to be real. Like that was the inspiration about it. Just real life events. I would just say
Yes.
real life events.
Yeah, and honestly, there's so many people I'm sure that's out there, whether they comment or not. But I know that there's somebody out there that they can relate to it, or they have a family member to where they've seen go
Absolutely.
through that or been through
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
And that's what I think I love the most about the book is that it's so relatable. It
Mhm.
gives you goosebumps every chapter. You don't know what to expect from one chapter to the
It's
next.
real. It's real, man. Whether people realize it or not, it's real. They'll
Yeah.
probably read it and think it's fictional, but it's really real. Like it's
Yeah.
it's really my life. Like yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
and I like how you were raw with it, because some people try to
right,
sugarcoat it or, what do you call it, numbing a little bit just for different
right,
readers. But I love how
right.
you were super raw with it because it really put perspective to the book.
And it's funny you said that because I was worried about that because when I wrote my other book, it was going in some churches. I was going to like some group homes with the youth, and they was reading a book. They was bringing me back to do Q&As. I was doing some motivational speaking, and I was like, Dad, with this book, I may not be able to take it to that, but I just wanted to be real to myself and really write what I wanted to write and what I wanted to be put out there in my story. So whoever it's for that's who it's meant to be for. So
Yes.
yeah,
Yes, you guys. I would say so there are some times when I like to read out loud, you guys, and I'm reading to my cat. Now this is a little weird, you guys, because my cat is my daughter, okay? So I protect her like a daughter. So I'm
yeah,
reading the
cat
book.
mom.
Yeah, oh, definitely a cat mom. I do
Okay,
have a
I love
son.
it.
But that's my daughter, my cat mom. I'm a cat mom. But I was reading, I can't remember exactly which chapter. It was about which a character we'll get into in a minute, you guys, but it was a character, Pretty Tony. And I was diving into a little bit more about him when it came to him, and if I'm not mistaken, Pearl.
Yes.
And there was a scene, and I'm reading out loud, and I said, and she I said, oh, wait a minute, don't listen to this, talking to my cat. And I said, oh, he's raw. I said, no more reading out loud.
Yeah, Pretty Tony was the pimp, and my father, he didn't know who his father was, and from what he told me, the pimp that always came around, he thought that was his father because that was the man who was coming around bringing groceries, doing X, Y, and Z. And he told me that the other boys in his neighborhood was teasing him like, that ain't your dad, that's your mom's pimp. And that's how he found out like what that meant and what that was and who he was. So I broke down the story the best way I could from what he told me and for what I was able to use for my own imagination. And I came up with the character Pretty Tony. Of course, I wasn't born yet, so I didn't know these people or know their names. So that's where the fictional part comes in. But Pearl, which Jimmy's mom was my grandmother, which my father really did tell me that his mom was a prostitute. So I'm just going off of the story in which he gave me, and then I'm creating it in my own words in my own way. But yeah, Pretty Tony, and I knew Pretty Tonys. I knew not just one, but I knew Pretty Tonys growing up in my neighborhood. And then Pearl, that's unfortunate. She was the victim of Pretty Tony, of being one of his women, being one of his as we call him, a bottom. I can't say the rest, but you understand what I'm saying. And then he got her hooked on heroin and things of that nature. And yeah, that's just that's real. That's what my dad told me how it happened for his mom and things of that nature. So yeah.
I think you also, introduced a character early on in the book, if I'm not mistaken, Miss Cherry, correct?
Yes, she was real. Now that's a real name. That's a real person. That is real. My dad took me to see her. I remember her growing up as a little boy. He would take me to her house, and she was a heavy set woman. She lived on Webster Avenue on the Hill District, and it was a gruesome. It's not a place you wanted to visit. That's about the best I can say about that. But that's real. That Miss Cherry, that's real. That's a real person. Her house, that's what that was. So when they read the book and you read, about Miss Cherry and the house and the things that was going on, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I didn't even change the name on that. Of course, she's deceased now. She's been deceased for years and years, but yeah, she's a real person. She's a real person.
Wow.
And my dad used to call her like his grandmother, but she wasn't his biological grandmother. She was just somebody that just took him in and things that was going on in there and things of that nature. Because my dad also had a drug addiction. So, I seen the worst of it all. But Miss Cherry's house is where like he would lay his head and stuff like that. So yeah, he took me around there. I knew about her in that situation. Yeah.
Wow. Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I forgot which chapter I was on. It started off with saying, yeah, she took me in.
She's in the early chapters, like chapter 2, chapter 3. Like it breaks out right into that. So
yeah. You introduced a lot of, characters in the beginning. And at first I had to reread a couple pages because I was like, wait a minute. Okay, this is this person. That's that person. Okay, noted.
Right.
And I know you mentioned later down the line, you introduced a character. You said Terry, correct?
Terry, yep.
That character sounded a lot better than Mookie. I don't know.
Let me tell you something. And I had to change the names, but those are real events. What Mookie did, that really happened.
Wow.
I ain't gonna spoil it. I'm gonna just leave it for the book. But he really did that, and that's real. God bless his soul. The person who played or is Mookie in the book, he actually committed suicide when he was 19 years old. Shot himself.
Oh no.
Yep. And Terry is another. That was like my older friend who took me underneath his wing, as I already said. So he was a real character too. I just changed up the names, of course. But like Terry, the person who I'm talking about is Terry. Like he's still incarcerated to this day. He got sentenced to 15 to 30 years.
Ooh,
and he's still incarcerated. And
wow.
a lot of the people who I came up with, a lot of them were dead in jail, just fell by the wayside. So but a lot of the characters that I'm talking about in this book, these are real life people.
Yeah. Wow. Now, one thing I was thinking when I was reading this again was how deep the book was, how much I can actually see this as I'm reading it. Like I
You're
said,
not
I
the
felt
only
like,
person who told. A couple people told me that they can visualize it while they reading it. Yeah, yeah.
yes. And and let me remind you guys, I wasn't reading that much before I felt that way. I'm gonna be completely honest with you. I was on chapter 2 when I felt that way. And I was like, we need a movie, a short film, a TV series, something. So I must ask you,
Love
have
it,
you thought
man.
about making, a film to this or having a TV series to it?
I thought about it. I dream about it. You know what I mean? Like it would be the ultimate dream, the ultimate goal to have something like that happen. I'd probably cry, But right now I'm just so blessed. I'm just taking it one step at a time. But I've been looking into different things, like even how to submit scripts to like Netflix and Hulu and Tubi and stuff like that. And it's a process. You got to work your way through the process. I'm learning more about that stuff every day as I go through the book. I don't even think it's been a whole month
Mm-mm.
that's been out, but I do want to say that all the love I got and all the support I got, it was overwhelming. Like I'm so appreciative of the people who purchased the book, the people who came to the book signing, the people who pulled up on me and got copies. There's people that cash apped me money, and I sent them the book in the mail, and I got a lot of support, and I'm just so thankful. So the people who rode with me and supported me, and I got people who I hadn't talked to, who I hadn't seen in a while, and they still pulled up on me at the event and came through and got their signed copies and stuff like that. So I'm extremely appreciative, and I just want to say thank you to everybody.
Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely. And shout out to you. That's a lot of work and that's big. And in my honest opinion, if we ever have the CEO, of Target or Barnes and Noble watching this, please reach out to him about including this book in your stores. Um,
absolutely,
yeah,
absolutely.
it's a
Yeah,
book I can definitely see on the shelf. Honestly, it's better than half the books I've seen in the past couple years.
I
Um,
appreciate that. I definitely appreciate that. I put my heart and soul into it, so that means a lot to me. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, no problem. And I mean, even when we were just talking about, possibly having it as a film, I know you said you've been reaching out, you're looking into reaching
I'm
out
I'm
to.
currently in the process of it. To reach a lot of those mainstream companies and stuff, you need like a lawyer, or you need like a
Yeah.
professional. You need somebody like a manager to even reach out to a lot of those. We talking about like the bigger ones, like Netflix and Paramount and all those type of places and stuff like that. But as far as working with somebody else on a smaller scale or a more local scale or something like that, I mean, I'm always open for that too. But yeah, it's just the grind continues. You just keep praying, keep working, and we'll see what door God opens up for me, and
Yeah,
take it from there.
definitely. Now, let's say if one of those big companies did reach out to you, they want to do the film, who are maybe 3 top actors you would love to play one of the roles in your book?
Okay, so I could say for sure, Pretty Tony, because I describe him as light skinned with the good hair, with the hazel eyes and all that. So I would say like Terrence Howard
Ooh.
or D. Ray Davis. He's been doing some acting a lot. I
Yeah.
never really thought about who I would have play Jimmy. That's a good one because he goes through a couple different phases of life. So I don't know if just one character could play him. It might have to
Mhm.
be somebody playing him when he's younger, and then a different actor playing him when he's older. But I never really thought about it. That's a question I have to come back to. But it's Pretty Tony. I definitely could see like a guy like Terrence Howard or like a D. Ray Davis playing
I can
that
see
kid.
that. I
Yeah,
can see that.
yeah.
As soon as you said Terrence Howard, I thought of Hustle and Flow.
Oh man, he played it that he'd play that role to a T. Swear
He
he would.
did. He really did. He really did. Now, you did mention while, you when since the book dropped that you had some great feedback, with the release and also with the signing. So I must ask you, can you describe one memorable interaction that you had with a reader when it comes to your book?
Okay, it would have to be my coworker. So I think she read the book in like 2 days and came back, and she was super excited. Like, you need to do a spinoff. So it's like you need to talk more about this character and do a spinoff and do this and do that. And I was like, just hold on. Let me. I said, I just got it published. I'm still working on trying to sell these 100 copies I got. Like, so, but yeah, it would be my coworker. Her name was Shell. She supported me, bought a copy, and she came back within like the same week and was like, "Yo, I couldn't put it down." And talking about this character and that character, and you need to do a spinoff. And I was like, "You're gonna be creative director next time." She had all these ideas already ready for me for the spinoff and for me to do another series. And I was like, "Man, I'm tired." I just wrote that one. Like, yeah, but yeah. So that would be that. And I had a couple other people like inbox me and tell me that it was a good read and that they couldn't put it down and things of that nature. So I'm appreciative of it. Whatever feedback I get, I'm definitely appreciative of it.
Definitely. And I gotta ask, because when I was reading this, there was a lot of parts, and I'm like, I tell y'all, every chapter it was something, but every chapter had something really deep. And the first thing I thought of was, what would you say was your most challenging chapter to write? Because they were all crazy.
It would be the chapter. I forget what chapter it is, but it's home. It's home without a home.
Okay.
Yeah, that would be the most challenging one for me because I remember it like it was yesterday, being released from the county jail, and you'd be so happy that you released from jail and that you going home, and then you realize you ain't got no home to go to. And that was the most challenging chapter to write, because as we talked about those emotions earlier, those emotions came back. Me just remembering it, because it was January when I got released. It was winter, and they had a winter storm. And like one of my homies, he's supposed to let me come stay with him, but he played me. And my mom wasn't messing with me. Like, I got her house ran into by the task force, the police, and she wasn't letting me back in. I ain't had nowhere to stay. And back, talking about it again, I was in the backseat of an abandoned car. That's where I was living at. And I've been fortunate enough now that I've owned in my lifetime 4 houses.
Wow.
Yeah,
Congratulations.
so that gave me the motivation and the drive to never want to be homeless again. So yeah, that's a part of it. But yeah, so it would be the chapter is home without a home. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. I don't think I got to that one yet, but I can't wait to get to that one.
It's towards the end. It's
Okay.
towards the end. Yeah.
Wow. Oh my goodness. And but congratulations, on that come up, because that's big.
Yeah. I've been working, grinding all my life, but that's where my motivation, my preservation, and that's where it all comes from. Just being down and out, being homeless, being incarcerated, and just turning that negative into a positive, and continue to work hard and continue. That's what gave me a lot of drive, because I don't got nobody else. All I got is myself. So just got to go extra hard, make sure I ain't down and out again. But I give a lot of my praise to God. Without God, we're nothing. So it all goes to Him.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, y'all already know God is good all the time.
Yep.
Now, I must ask you, because I know that you wrote it to get your story out there, but what do you want readers to take away from after they read your book? What do you want them to know?
Just inspiration and motivation, because it's a redemption story also, because Jimmy redeems himself and he makes it through all of that, and he comes out and he's the successor out of his family, and he gets married and he has children. He ends up being successful. So it's a redemption story as well. So I just want to inspire people. I want to give them that inspiration to keep going, to never give up, because Jimmy, several times in the book, he contemplates suicide. And I was there. That was me. I contemplated suicide. I thought about killing myself before, just wanting to end it, and talk about being homeless. Like, that was enough. And but he made it through to the other side, and he became a good husband. He became a good father. He became a good role model and an inspiration for his community. So that's the message that I also want to push out there to people. It's just not all about the negativity and all those other things and those things that happen, but
Right.
it's also about perseverance and coming through, on the other side and surviving it all.
Yeah.
So that would be another message that I would want to get out there, and I would want my readers to take from reading the book Overdose.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Oh my God, that's
Mhm,
beautiful. But and I have to ask you because there are a lot of people just like, and I ask music artists this all the time, but I have
mhm,
to ask you because we don't usually see, another author on a show. So if we do have inspiring writers looking to, be on the come up in the world and create their own first book, whether it
mhm,
be fiction or whatever genre it may be, what would your
mhm.
advice be to any inspiring writers?
I've had a couple people come to me now and ask me and talk to me, and what I'm getting from them is some procrastination. And what I would tell them is that you just got to keep writing, and you just got to believe in yourself. You have to find the time. You have to find, the dedication. You have to put it in and just complete your project and just keep going. Don't put it on the shelf. Don't forget about it. At the same time that you put into everything else, whether it be your job, whether it be your children or anything else, you got to put into your craft. So I would just tell them to keep writing, just keep believing in themselves. Even if you don't have the money now, just keep saving and just keep doing it. There's other ways that you could do it now. They got the Kindle, I believe it's called KDP, where you could publish your own book for $300.
Okay.
With some other steps that you got to do as far as getting it edited and getting it formatted and stuff like that. But they do have that available now on Amazon. And that's what I was speaking about back then when I wrote my first one. They didn't have things like that, but they have that now. So I would just tell people, just keep writing and keep believing in yourself and just keep pushing, and you could do it too.
Yes, that
Yeah.
is dope. Now, you guys, I know that you're like, oh, I want this book. Listen, you literally can go find it on Amazon, but that's not all, you guys. So if you're feeling the book, I'm sure y'all about to feel this next topic that we got coming up. So not only did he gift you guys with the book, to share, his story and also to spread awareness, because in the book, before we move on to the next topic, actually, in the book at the very beginning, he does do a history of, and I won't tell you what it is because I want you to read the book, but it's a history of a sensitive topic for certain people. But I like how you did that because a lot of
Mhm.
people do not know, and I didn't know some of those details either.
Right, right.
You
Just
know,
giving a lot of facts about, and I'll say it, it's like fentanyl, because that's a real popular drug right now, and I'm just explaining how many overdoses are happening from these drugs every day and things of that nature, and just the overall effect that it's having on not just any community or the Black community, but just communities in a whole, and
hmm
on people, and the effect that it's having, on families and things of that nature. I just wanted to bring a little bit of that to light and just talk about that, since the book touches on that from a heroin overdose from the very beginning. So I just wanted to talk about the history of it, where it came from, and how it was even made, and how it got from off the shelf into the streets.
And I'm
Yeah.
glad you did that because the way I took it was warning, this is included,
Right.
kind of like a warning label.
Right. Right.
Because,
Yeah.
there are some people that either did suffer from it, have a family member or significant other or child that has suffered from
Absolutely.
it. So, without that
Yeah.
introduction, them going straight into it, they probably would have been like, whoa.
Right. Right.
So,
Right. Yeah. I
I'm
wanted
glad
to
that
put
you
that
did put
out
that in
there.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you guys, so for the next topic that we got for y'all today, not only did he have a book called Overdose, but he also has a soundtrack to the
Yes.
book called
Yes.
Overdose.
Yes. The soundtrack. It's a soundtrack. And it's a very dope collaboration project. So, you know, um, I don't really know another local artist who done that as far as a book and a soundtrack to it. So it's special to me. It's very, very special. But yeah, I did a soundtrack. Had 17 total tracks, 13 various artists, and 5 different genres of music. So
Nice.
we went in, and I'm so appreciative of the other artists that worked with me along beside me on the project. And
Yes.
that's also available on all streaming platforms, things of that nature. So yeah.
Facts. Now I
Yeah.
must ask you, who did your cover art for that for
Barbados
the
Black.
soundtrack? I thought so.
Barbados Black. Barbados. Yeah, that's my guy, man. He featured on the track and did the cover art. He came through for me. He also did an interview with me behind the music. So he's a real talented guy, man. Tap in with Barbados for
Definitely.
anything music, cover art, graphics. Real extremely talented guy.
Yes, he
Yeah.
really is. You already know, bro. What's good? You know what I'm saying? He did my
Yeah.
logo for my radio, so I
Oh
already
yeah.
know.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I do look like Barbados. Now that you said that, that's his work. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's so
Barbados is
funny.
everywhere, man. He like the hardest working guy in the bird, man. He be doing everything, man. Swear.
Yes.
That's my guy, man. He's so easy to work with.
Hmm.
He's a blessing. He's
He
a
really
blessing.
is. He
Yeah.
is down super down to earth.
Swear. One of a kind. One of
Yes,
a kind. Yeah.
definitely. Now you did mention that you had 13 different artists on the
Mhm,
soundtrack. So I gotta ask you
mhm.
because 13 artists is a lot that people don't
It,
realize
it,
to work on a
it, it was a
project.
lot. It was a lot of personalities. I don't know if I want to do it again, but I loved it. It was a lot though. But yeah. Some of them, like Journey Scott, I think she's in Cali now, and I had a little sis. She lives in North Carolina, so we was sending the music back and forth through email and stuff like that. Some of the other artists we locked in in the studio. Artists like Brother Man's, Dewey Markey, Barbados. I don't want to forget nobody. There's a lot of people
There's
on
a
it,
lot
but
of
yeah,
people.
yeah, we locked in at the studio, and yeah, man, it's some good work on there. I just want people to go listen. Some good work on there. Some good music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, how did you go about selecting each and every artist? What was your criteria to even make it on the soundtrack?
Um, well, I had already worked with a handful of them, like Barbados. We worked. We did some collaborations before. We did a music video. I worked with Brother Mans before. He actually did some production for me, some beats, and we I went to his studio, Man Made, and Dewey Markey, the same thing. So I was familiar with them. I made a post asking for female artists, and a lot of them jumped in, and but I forget. I want to say was it Brody Castanova? Somebody directed me to Little Sis, LMAS. She jumped in on the post, and so what I would do is I would just go listen to their music, and if they had the sound that I liked or the sound that I thought could work, then
Mhm.
I would reach out to them or vice versa, and we would go ahead and we would lock in, and that's how I was able to do it. And I also got some other artists. They also sent some other artists my way that they were familiar with. Like I worked with Sam Ray, and Sam, she sent two artists my way, two very talented brothers, Shamar and Soulful Tone. So she
Mhm.
sent them to me, and that was a blessing. Just already, like her already being in the music community, the scene, performing, going around. So she knew a lot of these artists, and she just swung a couple of them my way, and we was able to lock in and just make music. Yeah,
Wow. The
yeah,
shout out to all those artists, for coming together, working together, working with you, and
yeah. It was
following
dope.
through with their word.
Yeah, it was dope. It was dope, and several of them came to the book signing and the album release party and performed live. And with
That's
a
so
Q, don't let me forget about with a Q came through and did something. Annie, with a Q and Annie, they're actually related. That's his aunt and that's her nephew, and she introduced me to Witta, and that's how I came in contact with them. And yeah, so uh,
super dope. So,
mm,
you mentioned there's 17 songs on the soundtrack, but I gotta
mhm.
do this to you. What do you feel like, or who, or what song do you feel like is your favorite song on the soundtrack?
Oh, hey, don't make me do that. Uh, it's between two songs, honestly. It's probably Lil Sis Young World, because that song is so inspirational, and what a lot of people are not going to understand about that song, because this generation they might not remember Slick Rick.
Mhm.
But I took the Slick Rick song, "Hey Young World, the world is yours. Hey Young World." Go YouTube that if you ain't familiar with that. And I took that and I sung that to little sis, and I said, listen, we're not gonna copy the song or nothing like that, but I want you to take that and make your own version of it. And that's when she made her own version of it, Young World. And it's extremely dope, man. It's extremely inspirational, especially for the youth coming up nowadays. But yeah, we did a remake from the old Slick Rick, Hey Young World, me and Lil Sis. We put that together. So that's gotta be like my favorite. And then it's another one, Brother Man's did, Young and in Love. Because it just takes you back to the 90s when you used to be out, when everybody was outside. You'd be outside with your girlfriend in the summertime. You know what I'm saying? Just being young and in love, and you know, so that's that. It just took me back to the era that I could remember. You know what I mean? So this is one of my favorite songs. And then I hand selected all the beats myself and arranged it all. Okay. So those are a couple of my favorite beats on the project too.
Wow.
Yeah, very dope beats. Yeah.
Yeah, that's super dope. So when you made the soundtrack, did you base the song order based off of the chapters in the book, or how did they relate at all to the book?
I just follow my heart. They don't really relate to the book, but there are some chapters that are titled after some songs. And they do intertwine. They do like really just like make sense. The song is about what the chapters about, like Find Your Way. There's a chapter called Find Your Way, and then Soulful Tone did a song called Find Your Way. And it's just about being lost out in the streets, you know, just no future, just no hope, just being lost. And it's about finding your way, about getting your life together and figuring things out. And so that song Find Your Way is really tied into that chapter, Find Your Way. And there's other songs that's titled after chapters that they kind of mix too, like No Love Lost. There's a song, a young lady by the name of Cupid. She did a song called No Love Lost. And then there's a chapter where it's like No Love Lost, where Jimmy's going through something with an ex, and it's like No Love Lost. And so it kind of, and she's talking about the same thing in the song. So it kind of like goes together. So if you read the book and then you listen to the soundtrack, you'll see that there's some songs are definitely related, right? You know, like right to specific chapters.
Right. Wow. That is dope. Now, I mean, that again, that's a lot of songs. That's a lot of artists, a lot of things to do. How long did it take you to actually complete the soundtrack?
I want to say probably about 7-8 months. Wow, 7-8 months. Yeah. I don't want to say it went pretty fast, but we was working. Like we was working once we was locked in, we was working, knocking songs out and stuff. I would send Lil Sis a beat and she would send me back the song. The next morning I would have the song. Same thing with Brother Man's Dewey. I sung on the beat, told them what I wanted the concept of the song to be about. And they would go in the studio and send me back the song the next day.
Wow.
Yeah, we was really working. So it came out in a good time frame, you know, and yeah, it was really good.
Wow. And I mean, 7-8 months ain't bad for all those songs, all those artists.
That's not bad. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. That's not bad. Because when you're working with that many people, it could be time consuming. You got to be on other people's schedules and things of that nature. But like they were so excited. And I think because when I would take an artist to the studio, I would let them hear 3 or 4 songs that I already had completed from other artists. And that would motivate them like, oh, you got that? Oh, he did that? Oh yeah, I got to get in there. I got to do something like so. That would give them motivation because they ain't want to give nothing trash. Hearing what the other songs is, and you know, so that was their motivation. And I'm just appreciative of all of them because they worked extremely hard and they were all very, very, very just good to me, man. I'm extremely thankful for all the artists who jumped on it.
Yes.
I got to log in with you one day. I know that you be doing music. I see you doing your thing. You got the single out. We got to do something in the future.
I would love to work. That would be dope.
Most definitely.
Yes. And actually, you guys, you can actually tune in to HotxxMagOnlineRadio.com and check out little sis Gigi.
Little Sis, Young World. Yeah, I sung you that song over Little Sis, Young World. Check that out.
Yes.
Definitely check that out.
Yes, because it's super dope, you guys. I heard it today, and I'm over here like, okay. Like, I ain't want to mess up the name
on the project, but that's it's hard between Free Falling and Young World, but you can't miss, man. I think the whole project is dope. You can't miss with whatever song. So
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And you said the other one was about Brother Man's, right?
Brother Man's Young and in Love. Yup, Young and
Yeah.
Love. Yup,
That's
yup,
dope. That's
yup.
dope. Well, if you get a chance, can you send that one to me too? I want to hear
Absolutely.
it.
Yeah, I send it over tonight. Yep.
Okay, yeah, that'll be
Yep.
dope. So,
Yep.
I know we kind of covered at the beginning what your advice would be to inspiring writers, but what
Mhm.
advice would you give to anyone with a story like yours who wants to get it out there? They just don't know where to start.
Just write it, man. Get you a notebook and just start writing it. Nowadays they got iPhones. You could write it right on your phone. You could be on a bus. Just write. I wrote almost the whole book on my iPhone. So I would just say write it. I don't care if you misspell words, any punctuations or anything else like that. I would just say just write it and get it out there. That's the most important thing. You could get it edited later. You could get it formatted later, but just the writing it is the most important thing. So like you don't have like some people be worried about their spelling. Oh, I can't spell. Or I can't do this. You just gotta write it. You could get somebody to edit it and format it later on. You just gotta write it, and that's just the most important thing is just writing it. Just lock in and just write it. Just write it.
Yeah, and that's very true. You just gotta do it, like Nike says.
Yeah, I swear that's just basically what it is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. So, you gave a couple shout outs, throughout it to the artists, also
Mhm,
to some family who the book can relate to. But
mhm.
besides those artists and those family members, do you have any other special shout outs you want to give to the people who helped your vision come true or just the people who supported you?
Yeah. It's so many people. It's hard to say. I definitely I'm gonna give a shout out to because I want to get it right. I got the book sitting right here in front of
Yeah.
me myself. So it's published by Lemons Writing Group, and so her name is Lydia Brock. That's who published the book for me. So I want to give a shout out to her, and I just want to give a shout out to my family and everybody that supports me each and every day, through my journey, and everybody that helped me, all my friends, all my loved ones, and just everybody. And there's just so many people who came through for me on this, too many people to name. So I'll just say I just want to thank everybody. But I definitely wanted to give a shout out to Lydia Brock for publishing the book for me and helping me get through the process. Yeah.
Wow.
Hmm.
Speaking of process, because I don't know if I asked you this or not, but how long did it actually take you to actually start the book
Hmm.
and finish the book?
Uh, you wouldn't believe it, but probably like maybe like 5, 6 months, if that.
That's
Maybe I did
it?
it. Yeah, I did it through over the winter. I mean, when I tell you, I took my phone with me. I keep the iPhone with you, and you go into they got the app where you could just the Pages app, and I just were writing it every day on my lunch break when I got short breaks in between my job. I was just writing it every day, just writing. I was super motivated, so I was just writing, and yeah, I
Wow.
got it done. I got it done pretty quick. But you also got to understand that this been in my head for 15 years. I've been wanting to do it for so long.
Mhm.
So even I procrastinated and I sat on it, but I was finally able to do it. But yeah, it was in my head for a super long time.
Wow. Oh
Hmm.
my goodness. That is amazing. And salute to you, for finishing that and getting it done because that's a lot.
Yeah, yeah.
So, as we mentioned, you guys, you can get the book available now on Amazon for purchase.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
Also, if you happen to do another book signing or anything like that, and people wanted to come out, or people wanted to show support, or even, y'all perform, they want to come out, or just to stay in tune with you, just in case you have any more books dropping or music dropping, where could they follow you on social media?
I'm Rudolph Strothers on Facebook. I'm tattoo underscore Ru on Instagram, and on Amazon, you just type in Rudolph Struthers, or just type in the title of the book, Overdose, and it'll pop up. The music is on all streaming platforms. So if you got Apple, or if you got YouTube Music, whatever you listen to, it's on there, and the title is just Overdose. And yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely, you guys, and you can definitely find it. I y'all know I'm not the type of person I will be that excited if I wasn't feeling something. Like, y'all, this book is really, really good. And I don't know if this is important to y'all, but this is important to me. I'm big on sometimes when I get books, especially chapter books that go past 30, which most of them do for the most part. The small
Right.
print. This book had the best print ever.
But thank you. I appreciate that, man. Thank you so much, and I'm appreciative of you for giving me your time and the platform and the ability to tell my story and to get my book out there. And I just want to thank all my family who tuned in. I seen a couple of them, like jump up on them. So I just want to say thank you to everybody for supporting me and coming on here and checking out the interview. Thank you so much. Appreciative
Yeah.
of it. Hmm.
Thank you. And I want to say thank you, for reaching out, for coming on the show, for
Hmm.
supporting the station as well. And even, letting us experience this with you, because this is definitely an
Right.
experience.
Right. Right. Yeah, man.
Definitely.
It's
So,
definitely experience. So go out, make sure y'all go get y'all a copy if y'all ain't get it yet. Overdose through the eyes of the unprivileged. And yeah, hopefully we'll be talking soon and be doing some more work soon, man. So thank you again. I appreciate you. It's been a hell
absolutely.
of an experience, man.
Yes.
Yeah,
Anytime. Please keep us updated with everything. And if you happen to do a film or a movie, let me know so we can grab our tickets.
definitely will. I definitely will. God willing, we'll see what the future holds.
Absolutely. And shout out to everybody that did tune in. Even if you didn't enter the chat, I definitely see you. Shout out to y'all on YouTube. Shout out to y'all on Facebook. Do
That's what's
appreciate
up.
y'all,
Yeah,
and appreciate to y'all that actually will tune in later too. Because I know some of y'all probably at work or, doing something. But shout out to all of y'all just for showing support. Do me a favor and click that share button. Go follow him on social media. And please, please go to Amazon, because I know y'all be on Amazon, and go ahead and get that book, Overdose.
yes,
Okay.
thank you. Support, 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 support. Thank you so much. I appreciate
Absolutely.
it in advance.
Yes, yes.
Mhm.
Now that is it, you guys. I'm going to let y'all go so y'all can go ahead and follow him about his book. And we out of here for tonight, you guys.
Peace.
Peace.